if I told you the United States is not leaving the Middle East air bases because of politics, not because of diplomacy either, but because those bases have become liabilities? The US military doesn't abandon strategic positions unless something fundamental has changed. And something has changed. Away from the media noises and official statements, one reality is becoming impossible to ignore. American air bases in the Middle East are no longer safe. And at the center of this shift is one factor that Pentagon takes very seriously: Iranian missile capability. Stay with me, because at the end of this video, you will understand why the US made a decision it resisted for decades, and why this move could signal something far bigger ahead. For years, Iraq demanded that the US leave its soil. Washington refused. Why? Because bases like Al-Asad Air Base were not just military installation. It was a strategic anchor for US power projection across the region. So why now? Why the quiet pullback from Iran? Why the rapid evacuation and repositioning away from Al-Udeid Air Base in Qatar, one of the most critical hubs of US air operations? The official explanation were vague, but the real reason is simple: to stay out of harm's way. Modern warfare has changed. Advances in missile technologies have turned once secure bases into fixed targets, easy to locate, hard to defend, and extremely costly to protect. And Iran has already proven it can hit them. Let's go back to Trump's first term, after the US ordered the killing of Iranian General Qassem Soleimani. Iran responded, not with words, but with missiles, hundreds of them. Iran launched a barrage of missiles directly at Al-Asad Air Base in Iraq. The US had advanced intelligence and took preventive measures, moving personnel, securing equipment, and minimizing exposure. No deaths were officially recorded, but here's the part often glossed over. Dozens of US personnel suffered traumatic brain injuries, some with lifelong consequences. That alone is enough for military planners to pause. But the real message wasn't about casualties. The message was this: we can hit your bases at will and make them unusable. Runways were damaged, infrastructure was shaken, and the psychological impact rippled through the Pentagon. From that moment, every US bases within Iranian missile range become a question mark. And if you think that was Iran at full strength, what happens years later was even more revealing. Fast forward to June 2025, during the 12-day Iran-Israel conflict. This time, Iran launched fewer missiles than before, but the results were devastating. At Al-Udeid Air Base, key systems were hit: communication antennas, receivers, and electronic infrastructure. The base was effectively cut off from CENTCOM. And here's the reality most people don't grasp. A military air base without communication is not a base. It is a liability. No coordination, no command and control, no effective operation. This wasn't random fire, it was precision. And that precision caught the attention of every serious military strategist in Washington. But what truly alarmed US planners wasn't Iraq or Qatar. It was what Iran did inside Israel itself. During the June War, Iran demonstrated something far more dangerous than volume: accuracy. Strategic sites in Tel Aviv and Haifa were struck with precision. Critical infrastructures, sensitive locations. Despite heavy censorship and media control, one fact became clear. Missile defense systems, no matter how advanced, have limits. Iron Dome, Arrow, David Sling, they are effective until they are overwhelmed. When missiles arrive in relentless wave, even the best system buckle under pressure. The sky doesn't remain a shield, it becomes a sieve. And that's before we even talk about hypersonic missiles. Missiles that can move so fast and maneuver unpredictably, the current defenses have no reliable counter. What's even more concerning? Iran largely used old missile stock, many dating back to the early stages of missile program, though modified. If those missiles could cause that level of disruption, imagine what Iran's new generation missiles could do. So, if fixed bases are vulnerable, why keep them at all? And that question leads us to Americans' real dilemma. For US military planners, the choice became brutally clear. Option 1. Keep operating from exposed bases like Al-Asad at the cost of personnel, aircraft, and multi-billion-dollar infrastructure. Option 2. Pull back, reposition, operate from safer distances. They choose the second. And frankly, any serious military strategy would. Modern warfare punishes static targets. Mobility, distance, and unpredictability now matter more than proximity. Add another layer to this problem: host nations. Countries hosting US bases face enormous pressure. Their airspace becomes dangerous, economic activity halts, they risk becoming collateral damage in conflict, not of their choosing. For them, hosting US bases is no longer just strategic, it is a liability. And Washington knows it. But don't confuse withdrawal for retreat, because what's happening next may be far more dangerous. Recent protests, cancelled strike, and delayed operation led many to believe the US had backed off Iran. That's a mistake. This isn't cancellation, it's repositioning. Trump continues to speak openly about regime change. US aircraft carrier and strike group are relocating towards the Middle East. Assets are being repositioned for operation with reduced exposure to retaliation. Iran, meanwhile, possesses missiles of varying ranges, capable of hitting targets across the Middle East and beyond. The real question now is not if confrontation happens, but how it happened and from where. So the US isn't abandoning bases out of weakness, it's adapting. Iran's missile capability has fundamentally altered the cost of operating close to its borders. Fixed bases are no longer safe havens. They are bullseyes. And as both sides reposition, one thing is clear. The next phase of this conflict won't look like the last one. If you want clear, uncensored analysis of global power shift, the mainstream media won't break down like this for you. Subscribe to the channel. Like this video so it reaches more people. And tell me in the comments, is the US preparing for a longer confrontation or trying to avoid one? Your perspective matters.